Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. It is Tuesday. I scared you, didn't I? It's Tuesday, August 27th, 2019. I didn't get any mail today, but I still wanted to do a video, so I'm going to. You can't stop me, really. Think about it. We didn't get any mail, but I haven't done a collection showcase in a while, and there's a couple things I wanted to share with you. So I thought, what a great opportunity. It's too hot to do any gardening today. So today I'm going to share 3 letters that I've got from former players, or they're baseball related in some way. And they teach us a little bit about the history of the game, about some of the personalities that have played, and some of the quirky, interesting things. Particularly if you're a fan of Pacific Northwest baseball, or just really any history of baseball. So this first thing is from Herbert Simpson. And you see, if you look at it, it's a postcard that I made, and it's not signed. And I'll explain why that is in a minute. Herbert Simpson played in the Negro Leagues for parts of 8 years in the 40s and 50s for the Birmingham Black Barons, Chicago American Giants. And he debuted with the Seattle Steelheads. And at the time I wrote this letter in about 2007, I was really into getting local history stuff. And anyway, 1946, there was a one and done Pacific Northwest. It was called West Coast Negro Baseball League, 1946. And that is when Herbert Simpson debuted. And like I said, you'll see that this is not signed, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. When I was researching for the letter, I found a cool article and decided to sort of have Mr. Simpson sort of verify some of the details in the article, because you're just not sure what to believe when something's, happened 70 years prior. So here's the letter, and I'm going to read it to you because I don't know how well it's going to translate to video. It depends on how big your screen is or whatever. So this is actually the back of the letter, on which I had typed some questions for him to answer. So at the top it says, "It would also be an honor if you would participate in a quick interview. Thank you again. 5 questions for Negro Leaguer Herbert Simpson. Number 1. Now, like I said, a lot of these were born out of the article that I had found. So I'll add any context when we get to that point. So, number 1, what is your best memory of playing at Six Stadium in Seattle, if any? He says, "It was very nice to me, and I enjoyed every moment." Six Stadium was torn down in 1979 and is now Lowe's, I believe, or a Home Depot. The minor league team, the Seattle Rainiers, used it for decades and decades and decades. The Seattle Pilots used it and unsuccessfully tried to retrofit it to become a Major League Stadium, which is one of the reasons why the team didn't do very well. Very minor reason. But anyway, the Negro League team, because it was the only ballpark around, played at Six Stadium. So, number 2. What would you consider your personal single game highlight? I should have pre-read this. Something and got into Seattle just in time to start. Yeah, so they got here just in time to start playing in 1946. Okay. What was the greatest event, like a no-hitter or something like that you have ever personally witnessed? He says, "I was never in a no-hitter." Who was the greatest Negro League player that you played with? Here's some big names: Josh Gibson, Jesse Williams, Buck Leonard, Satchel Paige. How about that? That's a list. Okay, so this next thing, this is a lot of fun here. So number 5, I ran across an article that featured this quote from former WCNBL umpire Johnny Nemzik. Nemzik said, "Jesse Owens, who owned the Portland team, would run against a racehorse, and between games would talk to the crowd about how important it is to get an education. Do you recall such a crazy thing, or is Nemzik remembering this wrong?" And so this is a great response. Yes, he did, and I also ran against him. He was great, and I love him. And then right above where he signed his name, if you can read it, it says, "Can I have that card?" So now he is referring to that custom that you saw at the very beginning of before I started reading the letter. And he evidently liked the design, how I put Six Stadium behind him. And I thought, well, I have his autograph on this letter. I don't really have to have the card back. And the letter's more meaningful because it's personal to me. And I could always resend it if I need to. I never did. So anyway, I let him keep the card, and I got to keep the letter. Eventually, Mr. Simpson did get his own Allen Ginter card in 2009. And for some reason, I never rewrote him and got that signed. And there's even signed versions of it that are, I think they're about $50 now. And I don't even have a raw copy of it for some reason. I can get it for a quarter, and maybe I will just to keep with the letter. But anyway, so that's that. Mr. Simpson passed away in 2015. And in 2011, after I had wrote my initial note to him, and before he passed away, I got a message from Columbia Magazine, which is a small local Seattle magazine, and they had found the postcard I had posted somewhere online and asked my permission to use it in an article. And I let them use it, and so they used it in an article about the Negro Leagues, or maybe it was just about Mr. Simpson, I'm not sure, and gave me photo credit and sent me a free copy of the magazine, which I cannot find anywhere. But here you see a screen grab of me sort of bragging about it on Facebook and tongue-in-cheek joking about how what I'm going to do with my royalties or whatever. But so anyway, that's a postcard I never sent that I sent to Mr. Simpson. I never did get a signed copy, but I got my letter, and I got he got to keep the postcard, and hopefully somebody in his family is enjoying it to this day. So that's letter number 1, and I'm going to take a quick break to set up for number 2. So in 2016, I was opening a Topps hanger pack, and I came across this card of Burke Waldron. I'm used to saying my own last name. Waldron. It's fairly similar. And I thought, first pitch was in Seattle, so it's kind of a local connection. And I wonder if I can get this signed. So I went to sportscollectors.net, didn't see anything there. So then I just started searching for this guy. And I found an article that talked all about his first pitch and how he lives in Bremerton, and he does the Veterans Day parade every year, and it just talked about how vital, what's the word I'm looking for, young and energetic he was, and active and all that stuff. So I, through Yellow Pages or White Pages or Zava Search or something, I found an address that was in Bremerton that I thought might work. And so I shipped off the card with a letter, and here it is. He wrote back, and it says, "Dear Ed, I was excited about this as you are." I told him that I thought it was cool that he had the card. "My son-in-law just went on the internet and found 4 more sales, so I have my own card. That was very big, and sorry, this is like really fancy cursive. That was maybe event. That event was even bigger. For we went skydiving about 2 years ago. I should have rehearsed this. And I looked on he's booked on another honor flight to Pearl Harbor for the 45th anniversary. My goddaughter is my guardian from December 3rd to 9th. I sold my contracting business in May and finally started, and we live with my daughter in Washington, Utah, next door to St. George. And I just signed up for the Washington City Vets Day Parade. I was in the Bremerton and Armed Forces Day Parade 13 years. I'm back in May for the 2016 parade. Thank you for your words. The something for my own Yeah, I'm not getting this last part. And then on the back, he says he has more pictures, like this skydiving picture I'll put up. And if I want to see them, send him an email. So what happened was I was the first one to find this address. And I thought, this old man, at the time he was 90, seemed to really enjoy getting my letter and hearing words of encouragement and being thanked for being in the service. So I sent him an email and I just said, can I share your address? I know other people that would want to write you and probably want your autograph and might even be able to send you extra cards. And he wrote back almost immediately and said, yes, please do. So if you look on sportscollectors.net, I'm happy that I was the one that was able to sort of break his address. He had just moved, so I sent this to Bremerton, Washington, and it was returned from Utah because he just moved to live with his daughter, which he mentions in the letter here in a roundabout way. Anyway, so since then, if you look on there, there's dozens of addresses, and he sends extra things, and he just loves communicating with people, and really seems to still be full of life. So I think he's probably about 96 now, 94. I don't know. I didn't look it up, but great man, served in World War II, loves hearing from fans, and I haven't seen the success in a couple months, but I think everyone who wanted to send to him had, probably already heard back or whatever. But that's something to consider if you want to get this Topps card signed. He'll sign it, and he'll probably give you a couple extra photos and things like I got. So that's it for letter number 2. We got one more coming up. This one's kind of silly and goofy and fun. So I'll be right back. Let me get set up for it. Okay, so this last letter is from Larry Anderson, who played parts of 17 years in the majors for the Phillies, Astros, Mariners, Indians, Padres, and Red Sox. And he currently does color for the Phillies. I'm not sure if that's just radio or just TV or whatever. I do get to watch some Phillies every once in a while on the internet, but I'm never sure who's talking, and I'm terrible about distinguishing voices. I don't know who else is like that. But anyway, in 1982, the Mariners thought it would be a good idea to use this bullpen tugboat, goofy car to bring pitchers in from the bullpen. And I found this article that stated the players absolutely hated it. And I was getting ready to write Larry Anderson anyway, so I figured I'm just going to ask him about this car along with my TTM request. And in that picture you see there, that's actually Larry Anderson right there coming into in relief number 39. So here's the note. A note from LA. Hi, Ed. As for the boat for the bullpen, we did hate it. In fact, our manager, Renee Latchman, told our owner we did not want to do it, and Latch said he had to use it. Sorry, if we had to use it, we wanted him to drive it. When he told the owner this, the owner backed off his demand that we use it. God bless you and yours, Larry Anderson. And so as I close things out here, that one's really short. I'll put up a few other pictures of this tugboat. It sounds like it was pretty short-lived. They're kind of having fun with it in some of these pictures, but I think they didn't feel like they didn't have a choice at the time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the letters, and hopefully we get back to getting some mail tomorrow so we can share that too. Anyway, over and out.